Everybody hates backup quarterbacks. They get some of the highest contracts compared to other positions and barely have to take any hits. Like Chase Daniel, who has made $41 million in his 14-year career, but has only played 5 games. But backup QBs have given us historic moments, like Nick Foles filling in for the Eagles and winning a Super Bowl against Tom Brady, or the handsome devil Jimmy Garoppolo, making Brady jealous, forcing him out of New England. With the rise of quarterback injuries in the NFL, backup QBs are more crucial than ever. These are the top 10 backup quarterbacks in the NFL today in 2024. Number 10, Carson Wentz of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, Carson Wentz was just signed by the Chiefs on April Fool's Day. Who knows if it's a joke or not? The former number 2 overall pick in 2016 has had a wildly successful career. It has just been derailed by injuries. At one point, he was number 3 on the top 100 list in 2018, and in the 2017 season with the Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz was on track to be the MVP of the entire NFL. Unfortunately, his ACL injury derailed his glory, and instead Nick Foles would win that Super Bowl championship while he was on the sidelines. Ever since then, we have seen some spark from Carson Wentz, but ultimately, after the injuries, he never lived up to the $128 million 4-year contract extension that he signed with the Eagles in 2019. So Wentz was eventually traded to the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for a 3rd-round pick and a 1st-round pick. He had a decent season but failed to make the playoffs, and then was traded to the Washington Commanders for a 2nd and 7th-round pick. Wentz would eventually be released by the Commanders in 2023, and then out of nowhere in November 2023, he would sign with the LA Rams, backing up Matthew Stafford. He was not a full-time backup last year, but nonetheless deserves to make the list. Number 9, Joshua Dobbs of the San Francisco 49ers. Since being drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 4th round of 2017, Joshua Dobbs has been a journeyman for sure. Last year for Dobbs was unforgettable. He's the only QB on this list that played for 3 teams in 2023. That's a true journeyman. He was on the Browns throughout preseason, but then out of nowhere was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. Dobbs showed flashes with the Cardinals, upsetting the Cowboys, but then eventually was traded to the Minnesota Vikings. And with no practice at all, Dobbs was able to come in and upset the Atlanta Falcons. He became the first quarterback in NFL history to record 3 touchdowns in consecutive games while playing for different teams. He would eventually be replaced by Nick Mullins on the Minnesota Vikings, but nonetheless, Josh Dobbs' stint with the Vikings and the Cardinals was impressive, and with his amazing improvisational skills and now linking up with Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, Josh Dobbs will surely impress as one of the top backup QBs in the NFL. Number 8, Drew Lock of the New York Giants. Drew Lock was famously selected by the Denver Broncos in the 2nd round of 2019. He never panned out as their starting quarterback, making some erratic throws, but always displayed athletic ability. He impressed as a backup to Geno Smith on the Seattle Seahawks last year in 2023, most notably upsetting the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 15. Drew Lock led a 92-yard touchdown drive, including a 29-yard touchdown throw to Jackson Smith-Njigba. And in this moment on primetime television, it just made you think, what can this 27-year-old do if given an opportunity? Perhaps his days of singing Young Jeezy on the sidelines are behind him, and now Drew Lock is focused. It is no wonder the New York Giants chose to sign Drew Lock. The guy has upside and is one of the top backups in the NFL. Number 7, Jake Browning of the Cincinnati Bengals. The undrafted 27-year-old quarterback filled in for Joe Burrow in 2023 and had a 4-3 record with the Bengals. Not only was Jake Browning going viral last year, but so was his girlfriend Stephanie and her Bengals jumpsuit. In all seriousness, Browning did make some big plays last year against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He ended up having an 86.5% completion rating, the highest all time in a quarterback's first or second career start. Browning threw for 12 touchdowns with 7 interceptions, and yes, he went 4-3, but he is the first Bengals quarterback since Boomer Esiason to win 3 of his first 4 starts. Browning started off hot. Last year in 2023 was the first time that Browning was officially a number 2 quarterback on any depth chart in the NFL. So who knows if this guy can continue to improve and be a solid backup quarterback behind Joe Burrow. Number 6, Mitchell Trubisky of the Buffalo Bills. It was not long ago in 2017 when Trubisky was the number 2 draft pick in the entire NFL, being selected by the Chicago Bears. Trubisky would have one of his most successful seasons in 2018 with head coach Matt Nagy. The Bears would end that season with a 12-4 record, the highest of Trubisky's career, and he would throw for 24 touchdowns, the most in a single season for his entire career. However, Trubisky would always deal with the stink of being the number 2 overall selection and being selected before Patrick Mahomes, before Deshaun Watson in the same draft class. He would eventually be a backup to Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills before taking an opportunity with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2022. Trubisky would not do that well with the Pittsburgh Steelers either. However, no quarterback's been doing well with the Steelers after Big Ben. And Trubisky would be released in 2024 and has now signed with the Buffalo Bills, returning to that team after backing up Josh Allen in 2021. Even though Trubisky has struggled in his career, he has played in big-time games and was the number 2 overall pick for a reason. He is a very athletic quarterback. So even though he's not a starter in today's NFL, he's one of the best backups. Number 5, Tyrod Taylor of the New York Jets. The 34-year-old quarterback was selected by the Baltimore Ravens in 2011, and technically he does have a Super Bowl ring while backing up Joe Flacco. Tyrod Taylor has bounced around from several teams throughout his career, but his most notable time as a starter was with the Buffalo Bills from 2015 to 2017, and this is a moment when he made the Pro Bowl and helped lead that team to the playoffs. Not only did Taylor lead the Bills to the playoffs in 2017, but it was their first playoff berth since 1999. Since then, he spent some time backing up Mr. Baker Mayfield in Cleveland and also backing up Justin Herbert with the LA Chargers. In 2023, Taylor spent his time as a backup with the New York Giants and filled in for the injured Daniel Jones. Most notably, he became the first black quarterback in the history of the New York Giants franchise to win a game for them. Unfortunately, in Week 8, Tyrod Taylor would suffer an injury and was replaced by the Italian sensation Tommy DeVito. I don't think Tommy DeVito was the first Italian to win a game for the Giants, but Tyrod Taylor, with his dual threat ability and over 13 years of NFL experience, I believe he's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL and will serve nicely behind Aaron Rodgers just in case anything happens again. Here is where we are heating up to the final 4, and I know this pick is gonna piss a lot of people off. Number 4, Mac Jones of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mac Jones has been on the decline lately with the New England Patriots, that is for sure, and he was recently traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars to back up Trevor Lawrence. But it was not long ago that the Alabama quarterback was selected in the first round in 2021 by the New England Patriots and then made the freaking Pro Bowl in his first year as a rookie quarterback. There was a moment when everybody was all over Mac Jones' nuts, not as much as Mac Jones has been on other people's nuts since he has allegedly hit some people in that area on the defensive side of the football. With the departure of Josh McDaniels from New England and the regression of Bill Belichick's New England Patriots, Mac Jones has seen his play decline and he has been frustrated visibly on the football field. But the kid is still 25 years old and has played in some of the biggest games in the NFL and the biggest games of college football, being a 2-time CFP national champion. Mac Jones may be at the bottom bottom right now, but I do believe one day he will bounce back, and the Jags getting this guy for a 6th round pick to be a backup is an absolute steal. Number 3, I did not think I would do this, Jimmy Garoppolo of the Los Angeles Rams. Jimmy Garoppolo is known more for his looks. He's a handsome devil and does live on the wild side, hanging out with certain film actresses during the nighttime. He was supposed to be the successor for Tom Brady in New England, but Brady wanted him to be shipped away because apparently he was intimidated by the guy. And there was a moment when Jimmy G was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he signed a record-setting contract with the San Francisco 49ers in 2017. And although he's known as a mid QB, not too special, not too bad, Jimmy Garoppolo helped lead a loaded San Francisco 49ers roster to the Super Bowl and appeared in multiple playoff games. The guy has played in big moments, has dealt with critical injuries that definitely set his career backwards, and it did not help that he linked up with Josh McDaniels and the Las Vegas Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo thought he could prove that he could pull it off without a loaded San Francisco 49ers roster. At one point, he was leading the NFL in interceptions before the head coach Josh McDaniels was fired by the Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo was eventually benched. But he has recently been signed by the Los Angeles Rams, linking up with a good offensive head coach in Sean McVay. And despite the fact that he struggled last year, he still has tons of experience, has played in huge games, and has also dealt with learning several different offensive schemes at a very high level. Even though personally, as a Raiders fan, I hated seeing this guy as our starting quarterback, I think there's no denying based on the resume, he's one of the best backup QBs in the NFL today. This next guy is the only quarterback on this list that won a Super Bowl as a starter. Number 2, Joe Flacco of the Indianapolis Colts. The 2008 first-round pick quarterback by the Baltimore Ravens has had a long career in the NFL. He is currently 39 years old and was just playing in the playoffs in 2023. He did start his career with the Ravens and eventually led the team to a Super Bowl, and not only did he win a Super Bowl in Baltimore, but Joe Flacco was the Super Bowl MVP for the 2012 season. After eventually being replaced on the Ravens by Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco spent a year with the Denver Broncos and it did not work out. He then signed a 1-year contract to back up Sam Darnold on the New York Jets, and obviously so far, no quarterback ever works out on the New York Jets. Joe Flacco would continue this trend of backing up young starting quarterbacks, and in 2021, he would serve as a backup QB for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. He would then return back to the Jets and not back up Sam Darnold this time, but their new first-round QB that did not pan out, Zach Wilson. Going into the 2023 season, everybody thought it was completely over for Joe Flacco. He was not signed by any team. He was sitting on his couch. And then out of nowhere in November, the Cleveland Browns desperately needed his help and gave the man a call. During the regular season, Joe Flacco absolutely went off, and he became the first player in NFL history to have 250 passing yards and multiple passing touchdowns in each of his first 5 games with the franchise, the Cleveland Browns. This miraculous turn of events would lead to Joe Flacco and the Browns making the playoffs, Flacco's first playoff appearance since 2015 with the Baltimore Ravens. This is a 9-year gap in between playoff starts. And yes, the Browns would fall to the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud. But Joe Flacco would be recognized for this insane performance, coming off the couch and joining a team in November and leading them to the playoffs. Joe Flacco was recognized by the Associated Press as the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year for the 2023 season. And he is actually the oldest player to win this award since Jim Martin in 1963. The Browns, for whatever reason, did not retain this guy, and I think he's going to do a great job backing up Anthony Richardson with the Indianapolis Colts. We have made it number 1. We are at the number 1 backup quarterback in the NFL in 2024. And I think right now, if you're a wise individual, you can guess who I'm going to say. And there's a lot of reason to suspect that by the middle of the season, this guy could be a starter. Number 1, Justin Fields of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Chicago Bears tend to run first-round draft pick quarterbacks into the ground. We talked about Mitchell Trubisky earlier, and then Justin Fields was selected by the Bears in the first round of 2021. And obviously, it did not work out. out. Fields has not had many weapons on the offensive side of the football since last year in 2023. He has shown some flashes with the Bears, especially on the ground. In 2022, Justin Fields broke the single game regular season record for a quarterback in rushing yards, beating Michael Vick's 20-year record, rushing for 178 yards against the Miami Dolphins. With the addition of DJ Moore at wide receiver in 2023, despite the fact that Justin Fields did miss a few games, Fields had his career high in completion percentage and passing yards, and also threw a career low of interceptions in that 2023 season. So he was not entirely impressive, but we did see improvement, and the Bears eventually fired their offensive coordinator after the 2023 season. It just seems like Fields experienced bad timing with the Bears, not the right personnel, and not the right coaching staff. And everybody is wondering, what can this young Ohio State quarterback, who is barely 25 years old with a bright future still ahead of him, what can he do in a change of scenery? After Justin Fields was on the trade block and there was so much speculation about where the young man could go, Fields was eventually traded in exchange for a conditional 6th-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers currently have Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson, and Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, has told Russell Wilson he will be the Week 1 starter. However, that could all change based on how the season goes, and there's a lot of speculation that Fields could be pressuring Russell Wilson for the starting position. But even if not, even if this guy sits back, learns behind a Super Bowl champion in Russell Wilson, you know he's going to continue to improve. You know he's going to take advantage of this second opportunity. And I believe right now, when you're looking at all the backup quarterbacks in the NFL, if you want to take into account dynamic playmaking ability, high upside, a guy who has started a lot of games at the NFL level, Justin Fields checks all those boxes. But Justin Fields could fall on this list. He still has to prove that he was on a bad organization and they were holding him back, and he ultimately has to prove that he is coachable. Give me your top 10 backup quarterback list in the comments below. Where did I get it wrong? Who did I leave out? I want to hear from you. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. I do NFL content all the freaking time on this channel, so make sure you subscribe so you do not miss the next video. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.